Saskia is back with a new and improved deck list. Can the new Saskia take down Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, Thriss, Nantuko Primus, and Captain Sisse? Find out next on Commander Replay.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Commander Replay. Today, we're taking Saskia back out for another spin. This deck was previously called the Myriad build. I have made some changes to it. I took out Blade of Selves, so I'm not really using the Myriad mechanic anymore. It seemed a little bit too cute to try to actually get a Titan into play and get it equipped up with the Blade of Selves. So, we've got 2 lands, we've got a Miri's Guile, I'm gonna keep this hand, this is a good hand. So we'll keep. I just finished recording a previous game with Saskia and with this particular deck, and this deck has some incredible late game power. The problem is I kept running out of time. I was using 25-minute games, so I switched to a 40-minute match for this recording because there's just a lot of triggers in this deck and a lot of different things happening, so it takes a long time to go through all of the steps. It's probably absolute torture for our opponent. This deck is kind of toolboxy in a way, so you're kind of thinking about what you need to do. There isn't some big, huge, I'm just going to come out and win the gameplay, other than playing Insurrection. It does take a lot of thought. So we're playing Saskia. Saskia is one of the new 2016 commanders, and she's a 3/4 with Vigilance and Haste. When she comes into play, choose a player. Whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, it also deals damage to the chosen player. So against the single opponent, this doubles the damage. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing. We have Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. This is one of the new commanders. She's very good at ramping. I've seen some crazy ramp things go on with Selvala. We've also got Thriss, Nantuko Primus. I've never actually seen this card in Commander before, but it says pay 1 green to tap it. Target creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. I'm hoping that he's not playing Infect because I could see that being really nasty with an Infect deck. And we have Captain Sisse, has the ability to tap and search for a legendary card and put it into your hand. So we're going to drop down this Misty Rainforest. We're definitely going to need a green source of mana. We have white, so I'm thinking Bayou might be the best play here. So I'm going to drop down our Miri's Guile. And Miri's Guile allows us to look at the top 3 cards of our library at the beginning of our upkeep and put them back in any order. This is an awesome turn 1 play because it allows you to find your lands when you need them, and later in the game, when you don't need as many lands, you can look for the really big stuff that you need to win the game, or the answer to a particular problem on the board. Miri's Guile has crept up pretty high in price in Magic Online. I had one probably about 2 years ago and I sold it because I wasn't playing all that much green. And it's up to about $10 now, which is seemingly high, so I hope you grabbed your copies a while back. The Sisse opponent plays a Magus of the Library. This is from the cycle of creatures that were throwbacks to old, really overpowered cards from 93, 94. Library of Alexandria being the card that this is taking after, its ability is taken after. Draw a card, but activate this ability only if you have exactly 7 cards in your hand. So it's our upkeep, and we get the Miri's Guile trigger. Ooh, let's see. We have a Survival of the Fittest, an Ancient Tomb, and a Swamp. We do have green mana. Alright, so I'm going to go Swamp, Ancient Tomb, and then put Survival of the Fittest on top. And we will play our Survival of the Fittest this turn. There's a lot of green in this game. Everyone's playing green, so probably not a lot of creature removal, but probably a lot of artifact and enchantment removal. We have a handful of artifacts and enchantments. We will need to be very diligent about how we use things. I'm not going to want to wait too long to try to use this survival because it may get blown up by something. Even though I just said that I want to use it quickly, I think what I want to do right here is get that Ancient Tomb and throw down this Panharmonicon, because then we can really start doing some crazy stuff. Ooh, we have a Reassembling Skeleton. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think we need Reassembling Skeleton right now, so we'll put him second from the top. We play the Ancient Tomb, and we're going to drop down our Panharmonicon. So if we found green mana with the Miri's Guile next turn, that would allow us to discard one of our creatures and then go find a Wood Elves. The Wood Elves will give us 2 lands off of the Enter the Battlefield with Panharmonicon. Okay, so I know what we can do. If we don't draw in the green mana, we can use, as long as we get, I believe there's a Swamp still on top. Yup. He's playing an Infect deck. Yeah, that seems pretty good. +5/+5 on an Infect creature is very close to lethal. This is one of those don't get hit by it kind of decks. Someone plays a consuming aberration. If you're playing paper, no one actually knows how big it is. Just don't get hit by it. So Miri's Guile. If we find a land, we can do the same thing I was talking about with Panharmonicon, just with a Solemn Simulacrum instead. Ooh, so there's a green source. Okay, so we're gonna go Swamp, Reassembling Skeleton, green source. We're gonna play the land. We're gonna activate Survival. We're gonna pitch our Karmic Guide, which I'm not in love with because Karmic Guide is one of the very few ways to get things out of our graveyard. Let's get this Wood Elves. Play the Wood Elves. So now we get 2 triggers for the Wood Elves, and both of these lands come into play untapped, which is going to be really good. So let's get Taiga. We have 1 black source. We have 1 white source. Land choices. I don't have any white cards currently, so I'm going to go with the Overgrown Tomb right here, and I'm going to bring it into play untapped. I don't really want to pitch this Eternal Witness, so I'm going to play this Evolutionary Leap, and if anyone tries to attack us, I'm going to block with the Wood Elves and then use the Evolutionary Leap. Hopefully the creature that I draw off Evolutionary Leap is not something that we really want, and what I plan to do, use all of our green mana to put things like Bloodghast and Reassembling Skeleton into our graveyard, but again, I really don't want to pitch this Eternal Witness. The only other graveyard cards we have are Sun Titan and Rise of the Dark Realms. So I want to leave some ability to pull things out of our graveyard if we need it. So more ways to pump up creatures. So this is going to be a matchup where it pays to just have a whole bunch of creatures lying around because you're going to get infected out of this game really quick. I don't really support people playing Infect. So Captain Sisse is going to trigger. You know, find a legend. See what he reveals. I don't really support people playing Infect in Commander. It feels like it's breaking just all of the rules of Magic. But it is kind of refreshing to see a commander you don't see very often in Thriss. So I'll give props to our opponent for at least building the deck in an interesting way instead of just doing something like Saskia Infect, which is pretty popular. So Karametra is what he searches up. The ability is whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So this is a very good source of mana ramp. Probably something I should be running in this deck, honestly. So we get Miri's Guile, trigger. We have, Lands and Buried Alive. This is very good. All right, so we're gonna have to miss our land drop this turn, unfortunately. I'm gonna go Forest, Scrubland, Buried Alive. How can we do this? So with the Eternal Witness in our hand, this Buried Alive is basically a tutor. Beside the fact that we also have Survival of the Fittest. I didn't sacrifice my creature at the end step because it is kind of useful to have that rot. It is useful to just have chumpers out for this Rot Wolf. So I'm going to Buried Alive right here. I'm going to pain myself because I don't exactly know what the later half of my plans are for this turn. So Bloodghast for sure. I'm going to grab Nether Trader. I'm going to find something kind of big to... I like Sidisi right here. That'll give us the ability to tutor. And that is very strong. So... Oh yeah. So I forgot we have Panharmonicon out. So, we're going to play this Eternal Witness, get 2 triggers. We're going to get back Sidisi, and we'll get back the Karmic Guide, because that was something I didn't really want to throw in the graveyard. We'll get back the Karmic Guide, and we will F6. Use both abilities. And opponent scoops it up. Other opponent scoops. And so now we're just left against the Infect opponent, Thriss Nantuko Primus. Both opponents scooped. Selvalla's gone, and Captain Sisse is gone. Oh, here it comes. He's gonna pump up the he's pumping up the Rot Wolf. It's got trample now. Oh boy. It doesn't feel great, but I'm gonna throw both creatures in front of it just because reducing any amount of infect damage possible is probably what we need to do to we do need a land. If we get a land, we get Bloodghast, and then we can Sidisi. We need removal for this Rot Wolf. Like, whoa.
For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.
For 1 mana, he could Giant Growth. That would make it an 8/8. Okay, for 1 mana, I think we can take it. So we're going to take the 5. Let's see if he's got like a Giant Growth and makes it up to 8 or something like that. But our next turn is going to be all about finding removal for this Rot Wolf. So we go up to 5 Infect. So we didn't pump it up. He didn't pump it up with this Nantuko Disciple. I wonder if that was either a misplay or if he's holding up some sort of like hexproof spell. End step, we are going to use our Evolutionary Leap. So pay green, sacrifice the Wood Elves. Unfortunately, we can't afford to pay for the Nether Trader right now. We reveal a Viscera Seer. Not exactly what we were looking for. We're going to do one important thing and make sure that Swords to Plowshares is in this deck, and it is not. So how do we kill this Rot Wolf? See what we find off Mary's Guile. Grave Titan's reasonable. That'll give us a whole bunch of zombies to throw in front of it. Some sort of unblockable effect could be really bad, though, but I think we're going to have to chance that. I'm sure we have enough mana. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we have enough mana to do that. So, Grave Titan. I'm going to swing in with this Eternal Witness just to see if he'll block with his other guy and trade. I doubt that he does, but... So, we don't need to be too conservative with our life with this guy going for infect damage. So, there's Grave Titan. Ooh, actually, I forgot that we had Survival of the Fittest out. We could have definitely went for something else there, but this is still a fine play. This is going to give us a ton of zombies.
Zombies.
And those zombies we can throw into our Evolutionary Leap as well, so... The card advantage engine is taken off. Opponent has 4 cards in hand. Depending on what the opponent does right here, there is some chance that I throw the Grave Titan with the zombies in front of this Rotwolf if I get nervous. Okay, that is not a cause for me to do what I just said. But he does have another infect creature out. So, Mary's Guile. Land stuff. For this turn, I'm just going to make sure we get the land. So I'm just going to put a swamp back on top, and we'll draw the swamp. And we'll get our blood gas back. So I think this is a good time to Survival of the Fittest. We're going to pitch this Viscera Seer. And what do we want? What wins this game?
Zombies.
He's got some big creatures. Noxious Gearhulk seems unbelievably good in this spot. So I think that's the play we're going for. Noxious Gearhulk, and we're going to get 2 triggers off the Panharmonicon. So we're going to blow up both infect creatures. And it's going to gain us some life back. Back up to 36. And now we're going to get down to the attacking. So I'm going to send in all the zombies, send in this guy, send in that too. And opponent scoops it up. He sees the engine that we're building with all this stuff, and he's just not going to be able to compete with the card advantage engine.
So let's break down the gameplay of this game. First off, this game was really awkward because 2 opponents kind of just fell behind and conceded, which made it a little bit strange. But I'm pretty sure that the reason they left was due to how far ahead we were on board state. We hit a ton of acceleration. We had an Ancient Tomb early in the game, followed by the Panharmonicon with Wood Elves play, which was a single land acceleration off of the Ancient Tomb, and then a double land acceleration off of the 2 Wood Elves triggers. And this just put us so far ahead in the game. I mean, on his last turn, the Thriss opponent had 6 lands in play, and we were up to 9 mana at that point in the game. So we were just so far ahead. The other thing that put us in a really good position is that we got all of our really good green enchantments down. We got Mary's Guile down to rearrange the top of our library in a way that's most beneficial to us. And then we also had Survival of the Fittest, which is just a really, really strong card and allows us to tutor for any of the creatures in our deck. And there are quite a few creatures in this deck to deal with a lot of problems or just go really big with Enter the Battlefield effects that we copy with Panharmonicon and Conjurer's Closet and things of the like. So, I've been playing a ton of games with this deck, and I love the way that this deck plays. It's able to do so many different things. It's able to generate so much card advantage. The longer this deck goes on, the more cards you draw. It's not uncommon for people to be at like 70 cards left in their library while you're at like 55 or 60. Everything in the deck is just designed to generate so much value, and it's a ton of fun. Now, if you're playing it on Magic Online, it does take a while to deal with all your triggers, and there is a lot of thinking involved, so you're definitely going to want longer matches, because I have timed out playing this deck. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know what you guys think of the new Saskia. The deck list will be posted below, and of course, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.